What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into Superman Son of Kal-El, issues number 15 and 16. We are gonna see the conclusion to President Bendix and the Revolution, and we also have part 2 of the return of Kal-El, with Clark Kent returning from Warworld, coming with a whole slew of refugees because he brought the entirety of Warworld to Earth's doorstep. And if you guys want to jump back into Action Comics if you haven't been reading it, this is the perfect time to do so, as we are jumping into a brand new story arc. Kal-El has returned home. We are seeing the new gods come to Earth, from New Genesis to Apocalypse, Metron to Orion. They have all come because of the fire of Olgrun. Also, if you haven't heard yet, Superman Son of Kal-El, it will be coming to an end. But we are going to be getting a brand new story arc from Tom Taylor, and it appears that it is going to be a story focused around Jonathan Kent confronting Ultraman, the man that kept him imprisoned and more or less tortured him for many years. And that is a story arc that I am very excited about. Now, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, make sure you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, the revolution has begun. The assault on President Bendix is in full effect. We have Nakamura, we have Jonathan Kent. They have come looking for President Bendix, but what they find is not the president, but yet another creation, another monster that President Bendix is more or less controlling. But for Jay, this is very devastating, because the one being controlled is Jay's own mother, the previous president before President Bendix. This is when Jay tells Jonathan to get everybody out of here, that he is going to handle his own mother, take this time and rescue all the people, get them out of harm's way, and then come back and we will figure out how to take down Bendix. And while Jay thinks that he might have the upper hand here, he lets Jay know that he will detonate the bomb inside of his mother's head if he does not stay in a solid form, in a form where Bendix can just lay down the hate. Having no other choice but to agree to this, staying in a solid form, Jay starts to get beat down, with Jonathan saving as many people as he can. They let him know that this bunker, if you try to go inside, if you try to break your way in, it is designed to collapse around you, that everybody inside, everybody is going to die. The way that Bendix gets in and out of this place is through teleportation. So unless he has a teleporter, there is no way for him to get inside. That's what takes us outside the Citadel with the Revolutionaries' assault, going and grabbing Wink very quickly. He uses her to teleport inside of Bendix's complex, teleporting him inside where all the people are piloting are superhuman individuals, what Bendix calls the Gamora Corps. And as everybody opens fire on Jonathan, he grabs their guns and he lets them know that he is not here to hurt anybody, that he is here to simply end all of this fighting, cutting all the connections from the pilots to the superhuman individuals that are being piloted. This battle is almost instantaneously over, with Lex Luthor getting in communication with Bendix and letting him know that he is done, that he has lost. Lex Luthor has been watching from his satellite. Bendix's shield is down, his army is lost. Everything that he has done has been made public. This is Lex Luthor cutting ties with Bendix. His ambition, his drive, it was all too much. Lex Luthor told him that he needed to slow down, that he needed to be more meticulous, he needed to be more scheming about how he was going to take over the world. Lex Luthor, he very much liked Bendix's idea. The only problem, Bendix, he pushed too hard too quickly. But Bendix, still having control of Jay's mother, she goes in to give that devastating blow to Jay, but the connection has been severed. It was severed because of Damian Wayne, with Damian Wayne coming in and open hand slapping Bendix right across the face. He tries to run, he tries to get get away, letting everybody know to kill Robin, stop him immediately, but nobody here wants to listen to him. Everybody here is cheering for his demise. But Bendix is able to get away and get to his teleporter, teleporting him to Skywatch. With Damian missing him just in time, we pick back up with Superman. Jonathan getting in communication with Dreamer. Dreamer is letting him know that what she foresaw, the destruction and death of all of them, it is still very much on the table. That death from above is coming for all of them. With President Bendix up in Skywatch, he is having the systems target Gamora, opening fire. Jonathan can see it. Some kind of huge energy weapon. The blast is going to hit Gamora in less than 1 second. This is the future that Dreamer saw. This is the future that Superman has to stop in his tracks. Going up and taking the full blunt of the blast. He says that he has never felt anything like this before. He can feel it trying to burn right through his body. Bendix screaming for Jonathan to just die. This is where we have Lex Luthor coming in, letting him know that Kryptonians are notoriously difficult to kill. Wondering how Lex Luthor is even here. The technology that Bendix is using is Lex Luthor's. So of course, Lex Luthor is going to have backdoors to everything. Lex Luthor is also recognizing that Bendix is trying to annihilate an entire small nation just to cover up his tracks. And while he can appreciate a scorched earth approach, this is taking it too literally. He warned him not to rush global domination. He messed up big time, and what is worse is that he has implicated Lex Luthor. Bendix wondering if this is a threat to him. Lex lets him know that this is way past threats. You were too ambitious, you were too reckless. Lex Luthor is going to take everything that he has built and he is going to improve on it. Lex Luthor sees him as more of a beta test. This is when Lex opens up one of the airlocks. It opens up and we see Bendix sucked out of it as he flies into the empty coldness of space. That is the end of President Bendix. With Superman still taking the full blast of this energy weapon, something is happening to him. Something that he has never felt before. He can feel fire behind his eyes. He can feel it in his fingertips. Something is building inside of Jonathan. Some kind of power that he has never had before. Before it can reach its full manifestation, Lex Luthor teleports himself out of Skywatch after initiating the self-destruct sequence. That is when we see Skywatch burst into flames, with Jonathan coming back down to Earth, trying to let Damian know that he managed to get between the weapon and Gamora, but something weird happened to him, letting Robin know that they'll talk about this later, because he's got to go figure out exactly where everybody is and make sure that everybody made it out alive. From Jonathan to Dreamer to Wink, everybody had survived this ordeal. They have just overthrown a dictator. They have the attention of the world on them, with Jay no longer caring about his disguise, no longer wanting to be hidden away from the world. That will be the end of this issue, and that is what will take us into issue number 16, with this being part 2 of the return of Kal-El. I highly recommend that you go check out the new Action Comics 1047 and 48, which is part 1 and 3 of the new story arc, with Jonathan having a memory from when he was a young boy, when he first started getting his super hearing, being able to hear everything. He was scared, he was terrified, but that is when his father had shown up, letting him know that everything is going to be okay, that he fully understands what he is going through. Clark Kent dealt with this exact same thing, focusing on his father's heartbeat. This gave him something to block out all the other noise. And at this point, it has been months since he last heard his father's heartbeat. And in this time, he has had to be Superman, waking up for the day, going and talking to his mother. She's working on a case where a bunch of LexCorp stuff has been stolen from a local police department. And so while she tries to work this out, her coffee getting cold, Clark was always the one to warm it up for her. These are the small little moments that remind them that Superman is no longer here, that Clark is out there, somewhere. Turning on the news, this is when Lois Lane sees Jonathan and Jay kissing on the news. They overthrow a government, they took down the Gamora Corps, and she is letting him know that you need to be careful because Lex Luthor, he is using the media to try and turn the narrative, to turn the world against Jonathan Kent. Heating up his mom's coffee before he leaves, he takes off and he does what he does best. First, he goes up, he sees if he can have any contact with his father, to see if he sees him out there in the universe, if he can hear his heartbeat, anything. He does this every single day. After spending a couple of moments staring up at the stars, recognizing his father is not returning, he goes out to do what supermen do, helping children, planting things across the world, rescuing people, taking down bad guys. He is doing the Superman thing, even going to the kid that he had a broken arm of a couple of issues back. It was an absolute accident, but Jonathan has felt terrible about this ever since it happened, trying to do anything for this kid. The only thing the kid really wanted was for Jonathan to sign his arm, to sign his cast. But along all of his journeys for the day, this is what leads us to Lex Luthor. With Lex Luthor sitting here doing his bench, doing his workout, he has come to ask him about some of the equipment that was taken from the Metropolis Police Station evidence locker. Of course, Lex Luthor denying that he knows anything about it. He heard about it on the news. And while Lex is sitting here completely still, no dilation in his pulse, it seems that he is either telling the truth or he is a fabulous liar. But before this conversation can get any further, Jonathan hears an explosion. That is what takes us to Stryker's Island. There is a giant hole in the prison, flames and debris everywhere. It appears that somebody has broken out. As he goes through all the debris trying to see if there is anybody that needs help, this is when he runs into the Ultra Humanite. With the Ultra Humanite using telepathy, feeling Jonathan's mind full of self-doubt. All of those words that people say, from freak, abomination, alien, nobody wants you here, all the negative things. Ultra Humanite is just bombarding him with all of this, trying to overwhelm him. And while all these bad thoughts are coming at him, the Ultra Humanite, he still has to think these thoughts for them to be bombarded on Jonathan. For Superman, he can move faster than thought. Getting Ultra Humanite into his cell, getting his psychic dampener on him, controlling him, being able to reconnect the grid. In a matter of a couple of seconds, Superman has him subdued. This is when the guards let Superman know that this bomb was placed on the outside of a cell, that they were moving it when it was exploded, but it wasn't meant to free Ultra Humanite. It was meant to free Metello. Ultra Humanite letting it be known that there is only one reason to release somebody with a kryptonite heart. Someone wants Jonathan dead. He knows this to be true. Someone who hates him. Someone is trying to take down the Son of Steel. This is when Jonathan hears something. It makes him jet off right into the stars, getting up into the upper atmosphere, moving as quickly as he can possibly go. A sound that he hasn't heard in a very long time. A sound that is drowning out all the self-doubt that is still lingering inside of his mind. Getting up into the sky, he runs into him. This is where he runs into his father. He heard the heartbeat from so far away, letting his father know that he looked for him every single day, that he wanted to search the ends of the universe for him. But we see father and son, they embrace one another. Clark Kent is finally home. And while all of this is going on, Lex Luthor, he seems to be on some blogs, chatting it up in some chat rooms. He is giving the notion that President Bendix was killed by Jonathan Kent. He is trying to turn the people against Jonathan. Now, of course, the reader knows that Lex Luthor is the one responsible for killing Bendix, but Bendix hasn't been seen since the Revolutionaries' assault on Bendix's complex. And so the notion is that Superman killed President Bendix, but Lex Luthor has every intention of doing something to take down Jonathan. Those plans may be deterred now that we have the arrival of the true one and only Superman Clark Kent, Kal-El. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Not a bad couple of issues. This one is a kind of emotional issue, especially for Jonathan, because Jonathan thought for the very longest of time that this was the event where Clark Kent never returned home. He remembers reading the history of Superman when he was in the future, when he was with the Legion of Superheroes. He believed that this was the event that his father left and never returned from. And so the course of the last couple of months, they have been such a huge struggle for Jonathan, not only trying to fill his father's shoes, to take on his father's enemies, but also wondering, was I right? Is this the time in history where my father disappears? Will he never return? So we can only imagine the huge just wave of relief that has gone over Jonathan once he heard the heartbeat of his father. And of course, we have Lex Luthor right back up to his regular BS. No longer really trying to focus on Clark Kent because he's been gone. He has put all of his focus on Jonathan. But now that the Man of Steel has returned to Earth, it's gonna be very interesting to see how all of this plays out now that Metello has the orphan box, now that Warworld is sitting there orbiting outside of Earth, and now that we have our super family back together again. So let me know your thoughts, let me know your theories. If you would like to get caught up on everything going on with Superman, son of Kal-El, be sure to check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It is gonna get you completely caught up on everything going on with this series. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership, much like Patreon, having 5 different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to getting free comics every single month. Not only does this help out the channel tremendously, you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you are unable to do that, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.